Good afternoon. It must be, nope, it's still morning. Had to click it. My experience as a son and my dad, James A. Smith, the first, was a very, very important man in my life and all of our seven siblings that he brought into this world. He died at an early age, so we sort of grew up with my grandfather being our father. I mean, I was 20 when he passed, at 21, 22, somewhere in that age, but still, you know, a wonderful man. He taught us, because he's from Macon, Georgia. He's a country boy. And he taught, because we were all raised here in Marin County, or San Francisco. I was born in San Rafael. But he taught us everything about the outdoor life, how to survive without. And we did. And one of the only things that I think everyone in our family still carries on is he taught us how to fish. As you can see, I've worn my fish shirt on, and it sticks with me and Loretta and Leona today, as far as I know. We camped out many, many times as a family. My dad had I think it was a 1952 Oldsmobile, a Sherman tank, as those of you who know what those cars look like, very heavy. And we used to all pack into them and go to the Delta, or Berryessa, or Clear Lake somewhere, and we would camp out. I mean, we didn't really have a lot of tents and everything, so the younger ones would sleep in the car, and me and my brothers, we would crawl underneath the car near the radiator because it was warm, and that was our shelter underneath the car. I don't know how many of you have experienced that. Some of your older people probably can remember, just out with your family, and that's how you camped out. And it means so much to me. My dad was a construction worker. Me and my older brother, James, who's not with us today, were very good athletes in high school and college. And we give credit a lot of that to my dad, because when my dad would come home, he would be about 200 yards from the house, and we would run out and hide in the bushes and wait for him to come home. And then we would race him to the house, had a long stretch to go. And he outran us for about 2 years. And then when we got older, we were able to keep up with him and then outrun him. And my dad was a great athlete. He's one of the few, being from the South, he was a young ball player, but he played in some of the last Negro League baseball teams. And here in Marin City, they had a Negro baseball team that he was a member of, and we watched him play at third base. And one of the unique things way back in the 50s, to where it was a league. They had a team in Sausalito, Mill Valley, Carter Madera, Santa Fe, and Novato. But all of our games were home games. Back then, they wasn't too many blacks moving out throughout the county, so all our games were home games. We never went to another city except, I think, for Sausalito to play a game. Everyone else came to Marin City to play us. And I know it's a lot of things a lot of people don't know that really happened back then. And that's the way life was. But being a father of two is tremendous. It was a time in my life that I didn't think that would happen, as far as being a father. And let you know that I'm a veteran from Vietnam War. And my nickname was the Black Cat. As we all know, a cat has 9 lives. And one night out in the field in Vietnam, about 83 miles northwest of Saigon, 3:20 in the morning, I was waking up for my turn to take the night watch, and the guy just woke me up. He was going down. I stood up on one knee and saw just a flash out the corner of my eye. Instead of turning to see what was that, I dove for cover. I received a Purple Heart for that. particular evening because I was wounded. And then from there, I went to La Caille, which is another place about 20 miles northwest of Saigon. And a lot of wounded guys went in. They had this large reefer that they had the wounded guys and they had the zip up. That's the bag, the guy that had passed. Me and another guy was right next to the zip up guys, and they were taking all the wounded guys out. And apparently they thought they had everyone out. Because once they get everyone out, they zip it up, turn the temperature back down, and bring it to a freeze because of the deceased bodies. And a corporal came back in, he comes in to check, and he was getting ready to hit the switch. And I sort of sat up and said, "When are you going to take us out?" You ever seen a white ghost? That guy took off running. And then like the cat had 9 lives. That's 2. And then I went to Cameron Bay where I was there for a medical condition for the wounds. And it was about 22 of us sitting out on a baseball diamond. And I was on crutches because I had a wounded leg also. And for some reason, I just, excuse my language, Pastor, I decided to stand up and walk off between some cargo containers to take a piss. As soon as I got up and walked between these containers to right where I was sitting against a lamppost, a 120 rocket landed in our positions. If I hadn't have felt that I had to take a piss, that's 3 times that I would not have made it back to eventually meet my wife, Vicky, and have 2 children. I dropped my crutches, started running, popped all my stitches in my legs. And as I ran towards the beach got a Century Road, I heard people screaming and hollering. So I stopped, went back to assist, retrieved 2 guys and took them to a bunker. Then I went back and got 2 more to a safe area. But one of the things, if I had just panicked and kept running where I was running to, another rocket landed. Another chance, I would not have been here to be able to be a father. Then I healed up and everything, went back to my unit, because in Vietnam, if you don't lose a limb and you sewed up and you're good to go, you go back to your unit and continue your 12 months of duty in the field. The day I got back, my top sergeant, we call him Maine, little black guy, he was an E8, and he says, "Smitty, you just got back out of sick bay. You're not going out on this platoon tonight with our company." And I was willing to go. When he said, "No, when we come back in, you go out with us." So I stayed. They went out. That night, and the progressions of people in the platoon that I was in, the guy in front of me, if I would have been there myself, and the guy behind me, were all killed in combat. That's what's so important to me about Father's Day, that the good Lord was looking over me and decided he had more important things in this world for me to do than to die over in Vietnam. So I survived that, and that's why they call me the Black Cat. And is that saying I have 9 minutes?
No, it says you have 1 minute.
Oh. And it's a pleasure to come back and to see my 2 children raise their kids. So they are mothers and fathers themselves. And everyone knows that, I coach athletics, or say I teach, because some people call them coaches. I'm a teacher. There's a big difference between a coach. That's an individual who brags on himself, but a coach teaches the sports to others. And so many of the young men that I've coached over taught various different sports in my life has grown up to be fathers themselves and grandfathers. And whenever they see me, instead of them saying dad, they always call me coach. Because there was a lot of the kids who I did coach that did not have a father figure in their own home. So they saw me as their dad. And it's a pleasure to say today, they still say that to me. And another thing I'd like to say, because I was raised in the St. Andrew's Church, and when it was a community church, and one of the things that this church here still holds that came from the old church is that cross. The surviving piece of our old church that used to be located over there in the middle of the parking lot by West Marin, because they changed the entry into Marin City. And then they gave us this property to replace the property that we gave up as they changed the entry into Marin City. And that's why I say, Father's Day is something very important to me, because I know the life and the possibilities of it never happened just for sure, I'm not sure, grace of God or luck or whatever it is, like that some people say you in the wrong place at the wrong time and the right place at the right time. I was somewhere in between. It just, things that did happen. And that's what Father's Day mean to me. Very few people have not heard that story except for high school students, because the junior classes of many of the high schools in Marin, me and two other veterans, we speak in the month of May on our personal experiences in Vietnam. This is something we've been doing for, I think, the past 12 or 15 years now, because for, I would say 30 years, it's hard to talk about what happened to me. As you can tell in the voice, that when I started, it sounded like Donald. Now it's like, you're okay, I'm not gonna cry, but it does. And when you do talk about it, it hits you like a bowling ball, and you're standing there like a pin. And they never have yet got a clean, what they call it, when you knock down all the pins, Duran, a strike, because there's always some part of me still standing. Praise God.
Good job.